Welcome again to my tens and tens of friends. It is me, Teacher TJ, and today I will be reading a Reddit post pertaining to childcare. I am a home childcare provider, and I have worked in childcare for many, many years, and I have worked around children and with families for many years. So, who better than me? This is career advice subreddit, and it is posted by a underscore puzzled underscore potato. That's funny. I've worked in childcare for 3 years now. I'm leaving. A warning to others is the title of this post. This got banned within minutes of the nanny subreddit because it was incredibly disrespectful and I wasn't being pro nanny. Let's see if it gets any traction here. It must have because it's been up for 5 months. I do not believe nannying works as long-term career choice. I'm talking to dude. I thought about nannying before I had children, but just being in someone else's space, I didn't like that idea. That's the only thing. It's like, okay, wait, I would have to live with you, Mm-mm. Or yeah, I don't know. I like the idea of, because most nannies are like living, right? How does nannying work? I just felt it wasn't for me, so I never tried it. But let's see if it gets any traction here. I do not believe nannying works as a long-term career choice. I'm talking do nothing more than one job if you end up with it somehow. My reasons for leaving and warnings slash considerations for others are as follows. Hmm. And this, yeah. See, being in somebody's house is her number one reason. Families are largely dysfunctional, and you will almost always end up needing to participate in that dysfunction to some degree to keep your job. In no particular order, I have worked jobs where, yep, I bet. Because you're a nanny, you're like part of the family. So you got inside intel on what really happens every day. And now, since you're here every day, now the family arguing about this or that, and they want you to take a side because you see what going on here. Let's get your opinion. You need to side with somebody. Yeah. But she says the family homeschooled and wanted the kids taught flat taught flat earth. the family the family had multiple children who were told yes to everything. Man, the way I tell a kid no, they be when children first start here, they be so confused, like no. They be tapping each other. Get a load of this. She's talking about no. Yes, I will tell you no and wait in a heartbeat. And I don't really say no. Let me take that back. But I prep you to understand that no's happen. I will say wait, not right now. Well, we can't do that because XYZ, so let's try this, or here are your options. But I try not to all out say no, because no does cause some of the worst meltdowns. But they get a lot of practice with no around here, but not no directly per se. The family had multiple children who were told yes to everything to the point of frequently putting themselves in danger, and I was expected to do the same. And for my very own children, I may say no, and if you don't get no and you keep like coming at me with that, go ahead. Go ahead. Jump off the house and let me know how that go for you. Sometimes I gotta learn. No, I'm just kidding. I used to make my mama laugh because I have definitely subscribed to FAFO, okay? I told you don't do that. I said no. And a lot of times, even with my own kids, I'd be like, well, what do you think? Or if we did that, don't you think maybe this would happen? Or, you gotta make them know their idea. Yeah, it's a lot. Talking to kids, it's a lot. The families adults had screaming matches during which I would have to take the children outside. Don't ask me to be your nanny if y'all got issues like that. I don't. And the thing is, some people be thinking everybody's house goes that way. Don't yell at me, and I'm not gonna yell at you. But if you make me yell, that's a different story. But don't yell at me. The family had a medically complex child who vomited daily. I quit. No matter who was taking care of him. Yet every time he puked on me, I was asked, what did I do wrong to make it happen? I was not allowed to even politely ask that they not do this. She goes on to say, the family has a child who is autistic and clearly intellectually disabled. The family believes he is a genius, who had taught himself how to read with no literal instruction. Look up S2C. S2C, spelling to communicate, is a method for non speaking or unreliably speaking autistic individuals to communicate by pointing to letters on a board, aiming to build purposeful motor skills and overcome apraxia. It focuses on improving the brain body connection, allowing individuals to express full thoughts and achieve greater autonomy. So he taught himself to read by learning how to spell. And that isn't even an exhaustive list, just a highlight reel. Two, you are largely replaceable and disposable if you work with regular working class parents. Say at a daycare, the power balance is equal. They need you to go to work and you need them to have a job. Exactly. With the, okay, that's why I'd be like, yes, I work at home. No. In my 5 years of working, I have never called off. Once I told them I let my parents know that I was going to be late. But call off, never. Like, I need you to keep your job. And the way that you keep your job is that I come to work for you. So whatever needs to happen for me to get down them stairs in a reasonable amount of time, presentable, ready to work, it has to happen. Because the last thing I'm ever going to do is look at my families and tell them, not today, y'all. Not to get somebody else to do it. What? No. I don't even like having them knock on the door for more than 3 seconds. Like, Johnny on the spot. Let's go. Get them babies in there. Get your body to work. We need this to be a natural, reoccurring occurrence. I need you to go to work every day, just like you need me to be here every day, or when you schedule. With the usually wealthy parents who hire nannies, this is not the case. You need to keep them happy and participate in their dysfunction as to not point it out and not to do anything they find too irritating. If you don't do this, they can post an ad on Care. Oh my goodness, advertising the high pay they can offer, and you can be easily replaced within a week. It seems like you should come up with a contract so that is not the case, because that is not fair. Even if they miss a couple of days of work because you quit, it's okay. They usually have a large enough financial cushion that it's no biggie. So keeping you happy as an employee is a low level concern. Wow. You are the only employee. That part right there is like what I'm thinking. I'm here on work. Y'all a family. I've never seen nanny for me, but I could see how it would work with like the right way. The only employee, if God forbid you feel the need to make a CPS report, there goes your job. They will immediately suspect, no, it was you. This puts you in an impossible position. You also have no co-workers, which means no commiseration or friends. This also means the only reference you can get at any given job is your employer themselves rather than say a supervisor. If you piss them off, whatever time you spent at that job is forfeit. No reference for you. And you have fun finding another job without one. So what I would do is I would It seems like to be a nanny, you would need a contract that keeps you. You have to have a 2 weeks notice in order to let you go, or you need to be compensated. It seems like I would do contracted jobs. I would probably do, here and there. I would do like 3 months, and then after that assignment, for lack of better words, is completed, then I need my reference, and that will all be in my contract. It seems like with any job, which is how I ended up running my own home daycare, it seems like you know what works for you. And for me, I know what works for the families too and the children. So what I had to do is make a handbook, a parent handbook that lets you know this is the way it is, this is the way it's going to be. If you don't agree with that at the tour or the first couple of weeks, you should let me know, because maybe we can talk about something, but don't start coming on down the line creating problems because things aren't going the way that you want them to or whatever like that. But overall, it seems like to be a nanny, you will need things in writing, because if not, you end up with no references, no pay, wasted time, having to side with family, taking kids for a walk for shouting matches. I'm not here for that. Well, I guess you are. I don't know how nannying work. But yeah, it seems like you definitely need to have things written in place. And to end this post, they go on to say, I'm making this post as a warning to anyone who is browsing this sub and considering a nanny job, either their first job or a subsequent one. Do not do it. I don't think you should say that. I think you should say be more prepared. Really cross your T's and dot your I's. You need a contract. And I would wonder if care.com, with their nannying system, how well do they support or cover their workers with things like that. At some point down the line, you will regret it. I'm going to go work as a pharmacy tech. And then the comments are, whoa, I bet you have some stories to tell. Okay, not gonna lie, for real. I feel you could write a whole book. Yep, just about the wild things you've seen. The secret, the secret nanny retirement plan. Okay, what a title. Well, I've worked in childcare, but always assumed it felt like an acceptable way of having a servant. Yes, you get paid, but you'll still get treated like most of the time. By who? Because you're not going to treat me like ish. Not the kids, not the parents. And that's probably why I work for myself, because a lot of times in centers, what I experienced is you get some unruly kids, and it's like you'll talk to the higher ups or your supervisor or whatever about it, and they don't really do nothing. They kind of like keep the kid, and the kid is abusing you, and you're like, whoa, I ain't signed up for this. But we'll read one more reply, and then I will wrap this Reddit up. I think nannying is like dating. The bad families keep having to replace their nannies, so you're more likely to experience bad nannies. To illustrate with numbers, if there are 10 nannies and 10 families, if 5 families are good families and 5 are bad, that means 5 nannies will have a good experience and will stay with the family for multiple years. The other 5 nannies will either quit or get fired by the bad families. But when they're applying for jobs, the good families aren't hiring. Because they already have their nanny, I get you. The only people that are the other bad families. Oh, so if you get you a good family, you better stay in there, is what she's saying. So 5 nannies end up ultimately experiencing all the 5 bad families for short periods of time. It's not exactly like this, but my point is that ultimately the toxic families are the ones most often hiring, just like the fast food jobs. And that's a question that you can ask as a nanny. It's like, when was your last nanny? And that's another thing. I said make a contract, but also I have a getting to know you and your family form. And for me, when I'm accepting work or families, I start off with the phone call. There's so many people who didn't get an email from me or some of y'all, if you know me and you ain't get an email from me, it's probably because I forgot to, or I got busy, something happened, but I'm usually pretty good at emailing back. This is not the only reason I wouldn't email a family back, but if someone calls me, which I had in these 5 years at home, I've had people call me cursing. I had people call me like with an attitude like, oh, you gonna take, like, you're a child care provider, I have a child, what's your address so I can drop my child off, like, type people. I've had and it's phone calls like that lets me know right off the bat, girl, you can come look around, but in my emails it says you need to be the family for me and I need to be the person for you. It's not just like, you got a kid, I got space, let's make this happen. No, we need to work together because we have to work together. And the families that I get, I plan to keep until the kid goes to school. So be very picky, I would say, in the families that you choose to nanny for, if you choose to nanny, and have systems in place. Because just to be like, oh, they're hiring a nanny, and to show up and be like, I'll take it. No, make them fit. First of all, you have to know your worth and you have to make them understand your worth. And you can do that by saying things like, hi, I heard, I see you're hiring for a nanny. I would like to come and see if I can be a good fit for you and if you're a good fit for me. And that's that on that. You stand on that because you know your worth. You know you're a good fit, but it's the family. So I wouldn't say that don't do nannying. I would say you live and you learn and you move accordingly. Well, that's all I have on this Reddit post. I hope you all enjoyed it. I did. I will catch you in the next one. Thank you so much for listening. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And share, because sharing is caring. Bye, Tien.